Good morning. Good morning to all of you. I am so happy to be with you this morning. Whew, what a week since we last met. I'm guessing that some of us are just starting to let the news sink in and starting breathing again. So let's start this service with a big, deep breath of relief together. I so wish we were together in the sanctuary this morning, but this is the next best thing. We, as you know, are nonpartisan as a church, but we share concerns and commitments to the dignity and worth of all people, to all women, men, transgender and non-binary people, for Black people, Indigenous people, and other people of color, for straight, gay, lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, asexual people, for people of all religions and people of no religion, for American citizens, and for the 11 million undocumented immigrants, refugees, and asylum seekers currently in our country, for our commitment to the planet, our commitment to democracy. That is so why we are celebrating, my friends, this morning. And on behalf of all the women here, the first woman vice president, yes, it is a good morning. I am dedicating this service today to democracy, to the will of the people, and to reminding us that even as we celebrate and welcome our new president and vice president elect, our work for equality and justice is not over. The path ahead, as we will sing in a few minutes, is still not totally clear. I also want to tell you that this work, more than any I think I have done for you, has been a work in progress. And we totally redid the liturgy yesterday, and I've still been revising it this morning. So do not try to follow along with Friday's order of service. As Beth said last night, we have never been so glad to have to work on a Saturday night. So I am so happy to be leading worship this morning with my wonderful worship team, Linda Weaver, our DRE, Cynthia Young, our music director, our accompanist, Jesse Leon. I noticed that there are a lot of new people here. So if you are new, I'm Reverend Debra Haffner, the minister at our church. Beth DiPasquale, our wonderful office director, is running the technical side of worship, and Kara Fortner, chair of our worship committee, is our usher in the chat. I've lit a special candle this morning for us, for all of us who voted, for all of us who made calls and texts, donated money, talked to our friends and families, to all of you who are committed to a more just and equitable world. And I light this for all the vote counters, the state officials, the poll watchers, the election defenders, the election protectors, and all those who have guarded our democracy. I'm also lighting this as a candle of joy this morning in honor of Ralph Smith, our oldest member, who turned 93 this past Friday. So happy birthday, Ralph. I have a few announcements for the beginning of the service. As you saw on the flyers, the UUCR auction is less than a week away. This is our church's major annual fundraiser, and you can start bidding now. So we hope you will join us and bid now, and that you'll be with us for the live auction next Saturday night. We will also be recognizing new members in 2 weeks. We have just had 2 people join in the past week and a half. So if you have been thinking about joining UUCR officially, now is the time so we can formally welcome you in 2 weeks. Please reach out to me or to Ann Welch, our membership chair, if you are ready or if you have any questions. And I'm looking forward to introducing our newest members to you in a few weeks. So for our prelude this morning, we have chosen a brand new piece called This is what democracy looks like. It's used with permission by its creator, Elizabeth Alexander, who you got to meet at our 50th anniversary service, and it is sung by a wonderful performer named Alicia Lee. The video reminds us of the importance of democracy and that this country belongs to all of us. Every voice mattered. Every vote matters. This country belongs to us all. So I'm going to hope that you will join her, that you will sing, that you will move, that you will play as you watch this video, maybe even stand up in your home. I'm asking the worship team to turn on their cameras and you'll see them as little thumbnails on top of the video to help maybe inspire you to move with it or just for you to see our joy. Please feel this music as a celebration. Enjoy. This is what democracy looks like.
All right, this song is called This Is What Democracy Looks Like. And the cool thing here is I'm going to mix it, because I like a mix, with another song about telling us exactly what democracy looks like. You'll hear it when you see it. We also take a little liberty with this song. Instead of the refrain you might be used to, we like to pause and freeze and point to ourselves and pose. That's up to you. Yeah, everyone can do that. You'll see the part where we, this is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Because I'm what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Who, me? Yes, me. Yeah. This is what democracy looks like. Here we go. We're starting with 1. We see that there's a wrong to be righted. 2. We know that we are stronger when united. 3. We exercise our right to assemble. 4. That's when the proud and mighty start to tremble. Just in case you're wondering, just in case you're wondering, just in case you're wondering. Hey, hey, look this way. This is what democracy looks like. 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 Hey, hey, look this way. 1, we see that there's a wrong to be righted. 2, we know that we are stronger when united. 3, we exercise our right to assemble. 4, that's when the proud and mighty start to tremble. Just in case you're wondering, just in case you're wondering, just in case you're wondering. Hey, hey, look this way. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. It's me. This is what democracy looks like. It's us. We are it. This is what democracy looks like. Hey, hey, look this way. Hey, hey, look this way. Hey, hey. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. Yeah, this land was made for you and me. This land is your land. Ooh, ooh. Land is my land. Ooh, ooh. California. Ooh, ooh. New York Island. Ooh, ooh. Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This land was made. This is what democracy looks like. This land was made. This is what democracy looks like. This land was made for you and me.
Sorry. I was asking if you enjoyed that, so I hope you enjoyed that. The last few weeks, indeed, the last 8 months, have seemed almost biblical. We have been in the wilderness. We have been in exile I'm getting a note, I'm sorry. We have been in exile, weeping in Babylon. So I thought it was appropriate to bring the voice of the biblical ancestors this morning, who too knew both despair, but also elation. Psalm 100 is a psalm of joy and thanksgiving. This is a modern version adapted by the Unitarian Universalist minister, the Reverend Christine Robinson, who served our church for many years in Albuquerque. Be joyful, everyone. Muslims, Christians, pagans, atheists, Unitarian Universalists, gladly serve the good. Rejoice in the gift of life, highest above and deepest within, around us in nature, present in each of us. We enter your presence with thanksgiving, with chants and songs, with grateful hearts and open hands. And we know a flash of eternity.
Good morning. My name is Cynthia Young, and I am the music director at UUCR. Our opening hymn this morning is number 1020 in our teal hymnal, Wo Ya Ya. I would like to thank our wonderful UUCR in-house band and our two vocalists, Wendy Katz and Kara Fortner, for recording this hymn for us last spring when the challenge of COVID had just begun. The message seems so appropriate for this week. The road will be muddy and rough, but we will get there. The words will be in your chat box. Please sing along with the fabulous UUCR band.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within
Thank you so much to the UUCR band for that. Good morning. I'm Linda Weaver, the Director of Religious Education at UUCR. As Reverend Debra lights our UU Reston chalice, you may wish to light a candle in your own home. Our words this morning are by the Reverend Jamie A. Yandel. Reverend Jamie A. Yandel is a board-certified hospice chaplain who serves the upstate of South Carolina and who describes themselves as a trans advocate and a person who identifies as genderqueer. They initiated and facilitated the revision of the Unitarian Universalist second source to honor the words and deeds of prophetic people rather than prophetic women and men. We light this flame to ignite the sacred power of justice. We light this flame so that it may be a beacon of hope in moments of uncertainty, fear, anxiety, and the unknown. We light this flame and we are emboldened by its blaze, knowing our strength as prophetic and powerful people is rooted in the diverse ways we answer the call to love.
In our church, we sing a covenant together every Sunday. Love is the spirit of this church. We will sing along with our own UUCR virtual choir. The words will be in your chat box. If you are visiting us for the first time this morning, please accept this song as our blessing to you.
Now is the time for all ages, so gather round your screens. Our story today is Supriya's Bowl from The Broken Tusk by Uma Krishnaswamy. Hard times starve people's spirits as well as their bodies. So it was when the Buddha lived and famine struck the land. The rains failed and the heat of the sun withered the harvest in the field. All around, the cries of pain and hunger could be heard. In the midst of this misery, some people grew greedy and selfish. The Buddha's followers came to him bringing stories of sadness and shame. "One merchant in town stabbed another," said one, "and all for a bag of grain. I heard of someone who sold their last goat to buy some flour. On their way home they were attacked by robbers, and the flour was stolen," said another. "Saddest of all, Lord Buddha," said a third, "are the stories of children dying of hunger on the poor side of town because the wealthy have hoarded all the grain and milk and sugar." "Call all the people together," said the Buddha. "Let us see what we can do to help." So the Buddha's followers called a big meeting. Hundreds of people came, rich and poor, well-fed and starving. Out of respect for the Buddha, they came to hear his words. The Buddha said, "Citizens of this fair land, surely there is enough food in the storehouses of the wealthy to feed everyone. If the rich share what they have in the lean season, then you will all survive to enjoy the benefit of the next good harvest." The poor and hungry looked hopeful at the Buddha's words, but the rich people grumbled. "My granary is empty," lied one. "The poor are lazy. Let them work for me. Then they can use the money to buy the food I have stored," said another. "There are too many people who are poor," said a third. "Let them go elsewhere." The Buddha sighed when his eyes fell upon the people with hearts of stone. Is there no one here, he asked, who will take on the job of helping to feed the poor and homeless in these hard times? There was silence. Then a small voice piped up. I will, Lord Buddha. Out of the crowd stepped a child, no more than 6 or 7 years old, a merchant's child dressed in fine silk. My name is Supriya, said the child, and I have a bowl to fill with food for the hungry. When can I begin? The Buddha smiled. Small child, your heart is filled with love, but how will you do this alone? Supriya replied, Not alone, Lord Buddha, but with your help. I'll take this bowl from house to house and ask for food for the poor. I will not be refused. I know it. Looking at the child with earnest face and shining eyes, even the most selfish among those present grew ashamed. I have a little grain in my storehouse, mumbled one. I have some pickled mango from summer's harvest, said another. My father was poor once. I am ashamed I have forgotten, muttered a third. Then Supriya took the bowl and went every day from house to house in the rich part of town. Wherever Supriya went, little by little the bowl got filled. Sometimes an old grandmother would fill it all with rice. Sometimes children would give up their sweets for the day. And often others would join Supriya with their bowls and help take food to the poor people who needed it. And sometimes it is said that when Supriya was tired of walking, she would rest in the shade of the banyan tree. When Supriya would wake, she'd find the bowl had magically filled itself. Now, said Supriya, the hungry will eat and the people of this town will take care of each other. And so they did. I wonder how, in the midst of pandemic and uncertainty, we might take care of each other and side with love and justice in this community and in the many communities to which we each belong.
Thank you, Linda. What a perfect story for this morning. I think we all feel a little bit like Supriya waking up and finding her bowl full. This is the time in our service where we invite you to share your joys and cares for yourself, for your family, for our community, for our world. We hope in sharing, you know that you are not alone. Perhaps you might want to light a candle in your own home as we watch the candles in the candle bowl in our sanctuary. The chat box is open. Please be sure you are writing to all attendees. And please remember that anything you write is public. May I also ask you to remember this morning that we are nonpartisan and that people with diverse perspectives are among us. As we put up the slide of our lit candles, please enter into a time of silence and let each other's joys and concerns wash over you. Please join us in the spirit of meditation and prayer as Jessie plays a song that I think will sing in your hearts. Please join me in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of life, come onto us. Fill us with compassion. Fill us with satisfaction. Fill us with gratitude. Fill us with hope. Know that in the midst of our celebrating our democracy, we too have daily struggles. We are grateful for one among us whose surgery went well. We send our prayers to those who are struggling with finding jobs, with relationship difficulties, with illnesses. And yet our hearts overflow this morning with gratitude for those who led us in the voting, the vote process, with gratitude for one among us who turned 93 years old and who was determined to get here and celebrate, and who I understand was watching the news all week as he was recovering from once again being in the hospital. Gratitude for all those who made yesterday possible. Gratitude for the hope, the stirring of hope, the stirrings of compassion we feel. Holding in our hearts, though, the almost 500,000 new people who got COVID in the US last week, and those who are mourning the more than 238,000 people in the US have died. We hold the sorrows close. And we feel gratitude on this beautiful fall day, gratitude for all those in this community, gratitude for the more than 200 people who are gathered with us this morning, gratitude for a new day dawning in America and the hope in our hearts. And so may it be. Amen.
Our special music today is a beautiful recording that has been especially prepared for you for this post-election Sunday, a performance of Beautiful City from the musical Godspell by Stephen Schwartz. The words are just perfect for today. We can build a beautiful city. Yes, we can. We have a guest artist performing this inspiring song for us this morning, the beautiful soprano Anna Phillips Brown. I have known Anna since she was 3 years old, when she sang in the children's choir that I directed at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Arlington. We have been close family friends ever since. Anna and our daughter grew up at UUCA, attending Sunday school together and singing in the youth choir. It has been such a joy to watch Anna grow into an exceptional and accomplished musical theater professional. If you recognize her face, it may be from our choir video this summer of What Happens When a Woman, or perhaps you saw her in person performing in the musical Ordinary Days at Next Stop Theater in Herndon last spring. If you haven't seen Anna before, well, you are in for a treat. Please enjoy Beautiful City.
the city of man.
What a beautiful performance. Thank you to Anna and thank you to Cynthia for arranging this. The words, we can build a beautiful city. We can build a beautiful world. That's what the vision statement of our church calls us to do. And that's what I hope our country will do going forward. We have so much to celebrate this morning. I think it is fair to say that on so many levels, democracy was put to the test and democracy won. There was the unprecedented challenge of how we would vote in a pandemic. There were attempts to stop the vote counts and attempts at voter suppression. And there are surely challenges with the fake allegations of voter fraud ahead. And yet, I think we can say, this is what democracy looks like and feel proud. 160 million Americans voted this year, the largest number of people voting in a US presidential election in history. 67% of eligible voters turned out. 100 million people voted early. The turnout was 7% higher than it was in 2016, and actually it hasn't been that high since 1900, when William McKinley was voted president with a historical 74% of the vote, but that didn't include any women or many people of color. This year, almost 3/4 of eligible Virginians voted in this election. So we are celebrating, I'm certainly celebrating, you've noticed the pantsuit and the pearls, right? The election of the first woman vice president and a return of sanity to the presidency. But we're also celebrating a number of extraordinary wins. Time magazine has called 2020 a rainbow election wave. New York is sending 2 openly gay Black men to Congress. They'll be the first gay people of color in the House of Representatives. Trans people were elected to state legislators across the country. Stephanie Byers in Kansas, Sarah McBride in Delaware, and Marie Turner became the first non-binary NB state legislature in US history in Oklahoma. All of the squad were reelected. New Mexico is sending an all women of color delegation to the Congress, a first in our history. Cori Bush, a Black Lives Matter activist from Ferguson, was elected to Congress from Missouri. This election, like the 2018 election, demonstrates that our Congress and our state legislators are becoming more diverse and more reflective of who we are as a people. If we were together in the sanctuary this morning, I think I would have passed a mic around so we could hear from each other. So we did the next best thing. We invited some of our social justice leaders to share their views with you. So we're going to show you a video now. Keep in mind that all of these were filmed on Thursday or Friday before we had the presidential results. So Beth, the video, please.
Hello, my name is Paul Cohen, and I've been a member of UUCR since 1980. This has been the 16th time I've voted in a presidential election. Unfortunately, and only 6 times in the past have I voted for the winning candidate. First time I voted for president was during my last semester in college in November 1960, Nixon versus Kennedy. In 64 through 76, I was in the Navy and so voted in Hawaii, Rhode Island, and twice in California. After counting the number of I voted stickers around my mirror, I've determined that it's more than 23 times that I've voted since moving to Virginia in 1979. So you might say that I consider voting an important part of my responsibilities as a citizen, and why this past 6 months I've been proud to be part of the work UUCR did in the Get Out the Vote campaign. If you think things are contentious in 2020, you might want to consider what happened in 1968. A leading candidate, Robert Kennedy, was murdered, and there were violent riots in the streets of Chicago surrounding the site of the Democratic Convention. If you want to learn more about this, watch the movie The Trial of the Chicago Seven. 1972 was not much better. Nixon's re-election committee broke into the Watergate complex to wiretap the Democratic National Committee's headquarters, the Watergate scandal. As I look back, I can't help but think how relatively mild some of this year's protests and marches have been. In more recent times, the Florida vote count, we learned about Chad, hanging Chad, and dimple Chad. And so in many ways, controversies around our elections is not new. And in spite of the turmoil, there have been no coups and the military has stayed out of politics. Over the past 2 days, after listening to Secretaries of State and other senior state election officials describe their procedures for receiving, opening, validating, and counting absentee ballots, I'm convinced that in all the in-play battleground states, all votes will be honestly counted and winners certified in a fair process. More people voted in this election than have ever voted in any previous presidential election. That's a great sign for the future of our democracy. On a beautiful Sunday, let's take the time to reflect on all we have and enjoy the sunshine and wonderful autumn colors. Life moves on, and our country will survive.
Hi, this is Claire Say. I'm with UUCR, and I have been asked to share some of my thoughts around the 2020 election. My first thought is, one, I'm glad that I voted early, and two, that so many people, more than ever before, have registered and have voted. Now, my concerns and my thoughts that are not overwhelming, but I do have to think about it, is one, what is going to be the outcome? And whatever the outcome is, I'm going to continue to do the work in diversity, equity, and inclusion and social justice, regardless of who is officially elected. My concern is that we are sharing some of our behaviors with the young folks that are saying, well, if we don't agree, if we are not quote unquote winning, we can question the authorities and we can also question the process and really try to bully people and to stop the process, depending on if we feel like we're winning or losing. And is that the message we really want to share? My hope is that everyone can do some self-care, some self-reflection. Make sure you take care of yourself and your family. Know that this is not going to be the toughest thing that we have gone through, whatever the outcome for the election is. And that we will get through this as we have in the past, because we are resilient, we are strong, we have power in ourselves, and we can share that power with each other. So I wish you well, take care, be safe, be well.
As of 5 p.m. Thursday, the 2020 presidential election hasn't been called. Fox News and the Associated Press are reporting different electoral vote totals than CNN, and my trusted sources are confident we should know the outcome by later this evening, Saturday evening at the latest. I'm a little embarrassed to say that I only squeezed in about 10 minutes of phone banking through UU the Vote. My burning issue this election cycle was much more about democracy itself and doing what I could to upend the effects of gerrymandering right here in our very own Commonwealth. My enthusiasm around this issue was really an outgrowth of my work on racial justice right here at UUCR, and by connecting with and listening to the concerns of people in this community. This work led me to meet an incredibly committed, smart, and fun group of our Commonwealth's most forward thinking lawmakers and advocates who have shepherded me through this election cycle and given me hope when hope has often been hard to find. In my 10 minutes of calls to registered voters in Texas, one person very politely hung up on me. I got a few voicemails, a few people had moved, but I did have a nice conversation with one person who stuck with me and my script to the end. That experience has me reflecting on one of my biggest election year takeaways. One of the most powerful things anyone can do is to pick up the phone more often, check in with people, build trust, see if there's anything that people need. It shouldn't take a presidential election to reach out across our differences.
Hi, so it's Thursday early evening, 2 days after Election Day, and like many of you, I have mixed feelings. I'm guessing you do too. On the one hand, I'm concerned what we've found about how divided the country is by race, by geography, by education, and most importantly, perhaps by values. I'm really troubled to learn, have reinforced that so many of our fellow citizens have values that are so divergent from mine, or what I think are decent values. Probably should have known, but it's become more clear in recent years. I'm perplexed by what we continue to see about so many people living in two parallel universes where the information they get is so different, which makes it really hard to have a civil and intelligent discussion. And of course, we saw continuing efforts to prevent people from voting, having the right to vote in the first place, and having the vote counted, which continues. And that suggests we need deep reform in those institutions. But with all that, there are some positive things to take out of this that make me feel much better. I'm thrilled by the response of the people in our congregation and other UUs to the UU the Vote effort. You guys' energy and commitment was amazing. And partly due to that, we saw record turnout all over the country, and it's good to see people voting, even if we don't always agree with our fellow citizens' choices. I was relieved that the period before Tuesday and even Tuesday were relatively calm and went pretty smoothly. With all the problems we've had in the past, that was good to see. And so far, we haven't seen much of the violence, and that's good to see as well. And I'm optimistic that if there's going to be a transition, it will be done smoothly despite all the talk from some quarters. So no one knows what the future will bring, but what is clear is that the need for social justice work continues, the fight goes on, and that's always been the case. Thank you all.
Friends, I'm going to talk with you from my heart and the values I hold dear. On Tuesday night, I felt depressed. How could so many people have values so different from mine? On Wednesday night, I felt a little hopeful because it seemed that our election officials were counting every vote. On Thursday night, I felt comforted by the peaceful and joyous count every vote protests. And thankfully, there are lots of votes to count because more people voted in this election than in any before. With our postcards, letters, calls, and text, we told the most marginalized people that their vote is their power, and they rose up and cast their ballots in record numbers. You helped make this so. But democracy is a work in progress, and if we want progress, we have to work. But before starting on more work, I want to reflect. And 3 questions that Rabbi Hillel posed thousands of years ago help me reflect today. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? When I am only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? To the first question, if I'm not for myself, who will be for me? That's easy. I agree. I need to take care of myself, and I do. To the second question, if I'm only for myself, what am I? To that I answer, I plan to do more voting rights work and also racial justice work. The two are intertwined. You cannot separate them. You cannot have one without the other. Third question, if not now, when? To this I answer, I will do more UU the Vote work, but right now, I need a short break. You know, if you're not for yourself, who will be for you?
As the late John Lewis shared, the vote is precious. It is almost sacred. It is the most powerful nonviolent tool we have in democracy. However, I would suggest to you that it is not our only tool. The UUCR, UU the Vote team could not have been able to do or accomplish what we did without the support of our UUCR volunteers, dedication and commitment of what it was that we were trying to accomplish. Also, we needed the support of the social justice arm of the UUA, who provided us guidance and intelligence and a wonderful, wonderful support to do what we needed to do. As UUs, we now have to commit to a more forward looking way to continue our social justice efforts. Voting should not be just about an election. It should provide an opportunity for us to reflect about just what are we voting for. To many, it is about maintaining the status quo. However, I have always believed that voting is about social change. We now know that we will never go back to the normal that we knew before March 13th. And as Unitarian Universalists, I don't know if we should even be yearning to go back to our old normal. We need to be focusing our attention on designing a better normal, not one plagued by toxic and manipulative leadership, white supremacy, poverty, climate injustice, xenophobia, healthcare inequities, and social systems that were never designed to be inclusive. I invite you to think about how we can continue to mobilize our beloved community to not be content with a checklist of well-intentioned actions, but and they make you feel good, but they do not necessarily accomplish sustained change. We are at a critical point, not only in the United States, but I would suggest at UUCR. We need to support the healing that needs to occur here in the United States. But we cannot afford to ignore the change that needs to happen. We have demonstrated that we know how to use our passion to make a difference. Let's not become preoccupied with or wishfully thinking for the good old days, but decide how can we make a new legacy. We need to commit to making good trouble.
Thank you. Thank you to Paul and Claire and Helen and Terry and Lainey and Marcia. And let me again thank Terry, Lainey, and Marcia for co-chairing our amazing UUCR, UU the Vote team, and all of you who participated. As many of your fellow congregants just stated, our work is not over because the presidency of Donald Trump will come to an end. The fact is that this election was incredibly close. I actually believe had it not been for the president's abysmal handling of the pandemic, he might have been reelected. The electoral map of red and blue states obscures the fact that in almost every state, every county, even every neighborhood, we are a divided country. Even here in progressive Reston, more than 40% of the electorate voted for the president. There are people right here in our neighborhoods who look at the world very differently than we do in our clusters. They're in our schools, they're at our gym, they're at your workplace, they're sitting next to you in the outdoor restaurants and in the supermarkets. The number of people I see every day without masks in Reston is a visual reminder that not everyone believes in science here or shares our commitments to protecting our neighbors. I like to think that the people who stole our rainbow flag and the Black Lives Matter banner are aberrant, but maybe they're not. We know that people lied to the pollsters this election cycle again. That's the only way to understand how so many of the pundits got it wrong. On Wednesday morning, I admit I woke up despairing about what the election results said about the American people. I did not want to accept that this was going to be so close. A nail biter, as the New York Times said, not a blue tsunami. There was no massive repudiation of refugee children in cages, children separated from their parents, the denial of science, the bullying, misogyny, the racism, the xenophobia. But yesterday, as the days passed, I realized that the people with the Confederate flags and the people in those cars with the Trump banners trying to run the Biden bus off the road, the Proud Boys, the militia, that's only a very small percentage of Americans. I think the much larger percentage of the voters, the red voters, I think they're afraid that somehow they'll lose. They'll be hurt if the country's systemic racism is upended. They're afraid. They're afraid of what it means to share power with people who are not like them. They are frightened because they have a scarcity mentality that their rights will be diminished if everyone's rights are assured. And they are isolated, as we too are isolated, my friends, in our own social bubbles, in the media that we listen to that is an echo chamber that confirms our own points of view. What I know is that it will be easier for us to build bridges if we can see that the majority of those red voting people are fearful and not hateful. If we can remember our first principle and reach out, get to know them, look for common ground with our fellow Americans. The president-elect has his work unifying the country cut out for him. And we, my friends, as some of you just heard some of our fellow congregants said, we have our work cut out for us. How thrilling to see that the first thing President-elect Biden is going to do is create this Monday a science-driven coronavirus task force. And then on January 21st, we will rejoin the Paris Accords, we will rejoin the WHO, and we will assure the legal status of the Dreamers, all with a stroke of the pen. But we're still a long way from the new Green Deal or Medicare for all, a new immigration program, a national reproductive rights law. We are a long way from being a country that has reckoned with its legacy of white supremacy and racism. We have a newly installed conservative Supreme Court majority that we're going to have to reckon with. We have 2 runoff Senate elections in Georgia in January. And goodness, we have 3 long months before the inauguration with a very angry Donald Trump as our president. So we, my friends, as people of faith and science and reason who stand for the full inclusion and welcome of all people, we need to continue to live our faith aloud, to make, as Marcia just reminded us, good trouble. We're not done. The election does not mean we are finished, but it does mean we can breathe again. It does mean we can hope again. It does mean we can have faith in our government again. I feel proud to be an American today. I bet you do too. So let us celebrate today And let us remember, as we will sing in a few moments, we who believe in freedom cannot rest. But for today, my friends, let's celebrate. This is what democracy looks like.
Our closing hymn this morning is not in our hymnals. It is Ella's Song, composed by Bernice Johnson Reagan and originally sung by Sweet Honey in the Rock. This powerful virtual choir performance was created this past June in honor of Juneteenth by the Resistance Revival Chorus, an inspiring collective of more than 60 women and non-binary singers whose mission is to breathe joy and song into the resistance and to uplift and center women's voices. The chorus has given us permission to share their music with you this morning. The words to the song will be in the chat box. I hope you will feel inspired and strengthened by this powerful music as you sing along with the Resistance Revival Chorus. We who believe in freedom cannot rest.
We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Until the killing of black men, black mothers, sons is as important as the killing of white men, white mothers, sons. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Not needing to clutch for power, not needing the light just to shine on me. I need to be just one in the number as we stand against tyranny. To me, young people come first. They come first. They have the courage where we fail. If I can just shine a light on as they carry us through the gale. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. I'm a woman who speaks in a voice, and I must be heard. At times I can be quite difficult. I'll bow to no man's word. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Come on, sing. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. We who believe in freedom, we cannot rest. We cannot rest. We who believe in freedom, we cannot rest. We cannot rest. We who believe in freedom, we cannot rest. We cannot rest. We who believe in freedom, we cannot rest. We cannot rest. We who believe in freedom, we cannot rest. We will not rest. We who believe in freedom, we cannot rest. We will not
Amen. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. For the closing words, I've chosen a piece from Aurora Levins Morales. She's a Puerto Rican Jewish writer and poet. And these words, for those of you from Jewish background, will have a familiar cadence. Say these words when you lie down and when you rise up, when you go out and when you return, in times of mourning and in times of joy. Inscribe them on the doorpost of your house, embroider them on your garments, tattoo them on your shoulders, teach them to your children, your neighbors, your enemies, recite them in your sleep. Another world is possible. This is our sacred task. This is our power. Imagine every detail of winning. The smell of the autumn streets in which no one has been shot. The muscles you will unclench from worry, found soft as newborn skin. The sparkling taste of food when we know that no one is hungry, that the beggars are fed, that the old man under the bridge and the woman in the back seat of a car nest under a flock of roofs that keep multiplying their shelter. Lean with all your being towards that day when the poor of the world shake down a rain of good fortune out of the heavy clouds, and justice rolls down like water. Defend the world in which we win as if it were your child. It is your child. Defend it as if it were your lover. It is your lover. When you inhale and when you exhale, breathe the possibility of another world into the 37 trillion cells of your body until it shines with hope. Hold hands. Share water. Keep imagining. Keep working so that we and the children of our children's children may live.
Just last month, the Resistance Revival Chorus released their first album. The title song is This Joy. The chorus has created a fabulously fun video of this inspiring song, which is our postlude today. The words will be in your chat box. Please sing along, This Joy That I Have.
This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that? This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, I said the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Oh, this strength that I have, this strength that I have, this strength that I have. Oh, yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have. Oh, yeah, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This strength that I have. Oh, yeah, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, I said the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Oh, this love that I have. This love that I have. Oh, yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This love that I have. Oh, yeah, the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that? This love that I have, yeah, the world didn't give it to me. Singing, the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. Oh, this pride that I have, this pride that I have. This pride that I have. Oh, yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This pride that I have. I said the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that? This pride that I have, yeah, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, I said the world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. All this peace that I have. about peace that I have. Oh yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. I said the world didn't give it. The world can't take it away. All this joy that I have, this joy that I have. This joy that I have. Oh yeah, now. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. This joy I said the world didn't give it to me. Don't you know that this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, I said the world didn't give it. The world can't take it away. The world didn't give it and the world can't take it away. The world didn't give it. The world can't take it away. The world didn't give it and the world can't take it away. The world didn't give it. The world can't take it away. Give it and the world can't take it away. The world didn't give it. The world can't take it away.
Resistance Revival Chorus believes in the words written by the poet Toy Derricott when she wrote, "Joy is an act of resistance." We believe in the words of Mr. Harry Belafonte, who said, "When the movement is strong, the music is strong." We sing to revive the hearts of those who fight for social justice, and we sing together for freedom.
Amen. Amen. And thank you to Cynthia for finding them, and to the Revival Resistance Chorus, who gave us permission to share anything they do with you all. So you're going to hear more from them, I think. I hope you feel the joy the world didn't give us, and the world can't take it away. So my friends, this is the second Sunday of the month where we devote our full offering to a community organization. Today, our offering is going to Cornerstone's Gifts for Kids program. Cornerstones collects gifts, but this year monies to make sure that every child in their shelters and every child in their homes has a joyful December holiday season. So I invite you, members, friends, visitors, to donate to make sure that our children have a happy December. You'll see a slide. Please enter the bit.ly into your smartphone and donate directly to Gifts for Kids. And of course, we would be happy to receive your checks at the church with Gifts to Kids in the memo line. So listen to the music, make your offering, and then at the end of that slide, and please stay on because you're going to really want to hear Jesse's final music, please log off and join us in the virtual Greet Your Neighbor space. I hope you will stay with us so you can celebrate together. So I'm going to end this service with another Bible passage, a passage from Isaiah 40, quoted by the president-elect last night. May you soar on wings like eagles, run and not go weary, walk and not be faint. And as the 46th president of the United States reminded us, don't just keep the faith, we must spread the faith. And so as I say to you each week with great love for you in my heart, my friends, go in peace. May our real service begin.